Hello there, this is Harry Du. In this video, I'm going to show you how to find, modify, and publish dossier, and also how to manage dossier cache. So let's get started. And first, we're going to import a couple of packages. I'm going to use the connection class to create connection. I'm going to include a bunch of class related to dossier, the dossier class, list of dossier to list the dossiers. First, I'm going to create a session. Okay, now I have a connection. I want to show you how to list or list the dossiers. You can use list the dossier function. This is a static function, takes a connection object. So you can list a list of dossiers in this user's user has access to. It doesn't necessarily be in user library. So we see a list of dossiers. And if you want to see the parameters, you can look up the documentation. You need a connection object. If you want to find the dossier by name, you can search by name. And if you provide a project ID, it will use the project ID. If you don't, it will use the default project ID in the session. Okay, so next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something with this dossier. So with this ID. So you can also find the dossier, use ID. So this is the ID I'm going to use. If you use the constructor and passing the connector, connection information, connection object and ID, you will be able to find the dossier. So I found the dossier with this ID. You can check the dossier name. You can also search by name. Right now, there's a bug in 11.3.7, so this doesn't work. It will be fixed soon. And you can also change the dossier some properties. If you look at the documentation, you can change the, if you provide this is to alter the dossier's name and description, all the folders. You can only change the name, description, or move the dossier between folders. Okay, so let's try to change the name. So right now I have a call center. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to change this to call center report. Let's see. Okay. Dossier, call center dossier. Okay, so let's run this. After I running this, you see the name is changed to call center dossier. Right. So right now, this dossier is not in my library. So if I log into, this is a login as administrator user. So if I log into administrator user, you see I have an administrator, and right now, if I refresh, the dossier is not in my library, right? So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish the dossier into my library. So this is dossier ID, and I have this dossier. If I want to, I can call this publish API to publish dossier to my current user's library. So if I run this, you see this is published to administrator user's library. So if I refresh this again, you see there's a new dossier called call center dossier, right? That's a name I just modified. Okay, so right now this dossier is not in other users' library. So if I try to check another user, so let's check a list of users here. So I have a list of users. I'm going to check with this Atlanta user. Okay, this is my user ID. So the user login is Atlanta. So right now, if I log in, if I go to MicroStrategy library web page, and if I log out and log in with Atlanta, okay, I have a Atlanta here. So log into Atlanta. Right now, that dossier is not in my library. So next, I'm going to publish the dossier into my Atlanta user. I'm going to use this user ID to call the publish method. If you look at the documentation for publish, let's see. Yeah, if you look at the documentation for publish, this one takes the optional argument receptions, and this can be a list, can be a single user or group, or user group, can be a list of user or user group object. It can also be a list of IDs. So it can also be a list of IDs. So here I'm going to try to publish this into my user. So the user I'm going to publish it to this user. Okay, so let me remove some other users. I just publish to the single user. You can use a list. You can also use a single user. So when I call this, it says, okay, user object list here. So the dossier is published to this Atlanta call center manager user. So let me go to the library, refresh the page. You see, this is right showing up. This is showing up in my library. I can also unpublish. So when I call unpublish, I can use the list of object user ID. I can unpublish. And when I go to my library again, you see the dossier is gone, right? So you can also use object here. So if you want to, you can also use object here. You can also publish to a group of user group. This method, shell tool, does the same thing. You can also use shell tool. It does the same thing. If you look at the source code, it does the same thing, just the call publish. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you is how to check the list of dossier in my library. So right now, I'm logging as Atlanta user. So there are eight dossiers in my library. So let's check through the Python SDK. So I'm going to, this time, I'm going to call, I'm going to create a new connection. Okay, this is my Atlanta user. Okay, I'm going to log in. Okay, I have a connection for Atlanta user. So now I'm going to create a library object and using this library class. And I can, with this library object, I can call library.dossiers. It will list of dossiers in my library. So if you check a list, it's exactly the same list as this, right? So if I publish dossier, you can also check whether there's a document in the current library. So I don't have a document and I don't have any other content here. And if I publish a dossier, so let's say if I publish this one into my Atlanta users library and you check this again, maybe I need to run this again, okay, and check the list. You see, there's a new one right here, right? The new dossier is showing up here. Okay, so that's how you can check the user's library. You can publish the library dossier from the user's library. Another thing I want to show you is the manager cache. If you check the dossier cache, you can list. You can use the dossier.list caches and to list the. Okay, right now my connection is the Atlanta user. I don't have a permission, so I don't have a privilege to do this. So let me try to log in as the user has the privilege. Okay, now I'm admin user. So now let's try to do this again. I don't have any cache. If you want to unload, you can use unload all caches or unload caches, unload caches method. You can also list cache. Right now, I don't have any cache to show. To see the signature, you can see, you can also see the documentation. If I want to, I can also print out. By the way, you can use autocomplete in Jupyter Lab. So you can just tap T to autocomplete. I want to see list caches method. Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay, so there are some documentation here. So you need a connection object. You can have a result in as a dictionary. You can set a limit. Okay, you can set a limit. You can pass the project ID and some other optional parameter you can provide. Okay. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.